The morning light looks like a promise. It is warm and slow. People call it the second sunrise. The first sunrise was the day we learned to care. The second sunrise is the day we learned to build with that care. It was not a sudden dawn. It was a gradual and gentle illumination, spreading from one small act to the next. The air in our cities felt heavy. The great ocean seemed tired. Voices grew loud with worry and disagreement. Fear was a shadow that grew longer with each passing day. But slow, deliberate work began to change the story. It started with a single, quiet choice, made by one person and then another. People chose hope over despair. Innovation took many new and beautiful forms. It was no longer a race for faster, bigger, or more. Instead, it became a thoughtful process of creation. People made machines that worked as partners with nature. Small, quiet drones shaped like dragonflies flew over scarred landscapes. They did not drop bombs, they dropped seed pods. They planted new forests in quiet, forgotten places where human hands could not easily reach. New kinds of batteries were developed. They were not made from rare minerals, but from common organic materials. The gift of time came next, and it was perhaps the most profound change of all. With smarter, more efficient systems and a culture of sharing, people discovered they could work less to make more. The relentless pressure to produce began to ease. Tasks and tools were shared openly within communities. Cities began to give space back to people. Streets were narrowed into green corridors for walking and cycling. With this newfound time, people gathered. Long communal tables appeared in open-air pavilions. The evening hum was conversation, not traffic. Adults who helped build this world passed down calm habits. These were the skills of a sustainable, connected life. These choices made daily life bright and safe. People had time to rest. People had time to think. People had time to create art. One day, a man stood on a cliff overlooking the sea. The air was clean and carried the scent of salt and wild herbs growing on the rock face. He watched the water below. Small waves catching the afternoon sun shone like a scattering of silver coins. Behind him, nestled in a gentle curve of the coastline, lay a city. From this distance, the city was quiet. Boats with elegant, silent sails moved slowly across the bay. He did not think of a single hero or a dramatic revolution. He thought of the hands that had planted the trees that now lined the city's walkways. He thought of the hands that had carefully pieced together the mosaic on the plaza floor and tended the community gardens. Storms still came, testing the strength of their buildings and the resilience of their systems. They did not look for someone to blame. How can we help? What small choice can we make right now that will make life better? The healing of the natural world was a slow and beautiful miracle, born of human humility. We learned to see the land not as a resource to be exploited, but as a living partner to be respected. All along the world's coastlines, people organized to clean the beaches, removing the plastic ghosts of a previous era. They planted vast new forests of mangroves and seagrass in the shallow coastal waters. These underwater forests became nurseries for marine life and powerful defenses against coastal storms. The roar of diesel engines faded from memory, replaced by the sound of wind and water. Fishermen and marine biologists began to work side by side as trusted partners. They learned to take only what the ocean could generously give, ensuring that fish populations could rebound and thrive. Gardens returned to the very heart of the city. It grew right where people lived. On the flat roofs of buildings, they built large shared gardens and orchards. The gardens also made the air cooler and cleaner. They shared seeds, swapped recipes, and taught their children how food truly grows. Meals became a daily celebration of this local abundance. The gift of clean energy was wide and equitable. The monolithic power plants of the past were gone. In their place was a decentralized, resilient network of small, local sources. They were developed into soft, white, flexible fabrics that could be integrated seamlessly into building facades, awnings, and even clothing. Wind machines were reimagined. Smaller, quieter versions that looked like kinetic sculptures or great mechanical flowers. Power came from many small sources, spread out across the landscape, making energy fair and accessible to all. This new energy landscape meant that no one had to fight for light or warmth. Energy moved from a few large centralized hubs to a web that touched every street and every home. When a storm passed through one area, the rest of the network could support it. Power, in both the electrical and the political sense, was given back to the people. The industrial food system gave way to a network of local regenerative farms, interspersed with trees and wildflower meadows. They used no chemical pesticides or fertilizers. Instead, they relied on composting, crop rotation, and natural partnerships. The quiet revolution was on our plates. Education changed its shape entirely. Schools became places of hands-on learning and practical wisdom. They learned to read the sky for weather patterns and to understand the story of the soil beneath their feet. It is something you make together through small, steady, and persistent steps. Education was about empowering creative, capable, and compassionate citizens. A love for repair blossomed and became a cornerstone of the new culture. When something broke, it was not thrown away. It was seen as an opportunity. Fixing a toaster became a chance to meet a neighbor, share a story, and learn a new skill. It dramatically cut down on waste and gave people a sense of pride and competence. Art and music were woven into the fabric of this work. The camera fell in love with the warm, golden hour before nightfall. At the heart of this great transformation was a return to the human scale. Cities were reorganized into networks of walkable neighborhoods. Daily needs could be met with a short, pleasant walk. When a group of neighbors decided to turn a vacant lot into a playground, they could watch their children playing on it the following week. When they installed a community compost system, they could see the rich, dark soil it produced, which they then used to grow their own food. They would gather in a circle, often outdoors, and give everyone a chance to speak without interruption. More often than not, they found that a shared creative solution was possible. This world was not built by a master plan, but by countless small, successful experiments. The flow of information was open and collaborative. It created a world that was diverse, resilient, and deeply equitable. We can see this world now not just in our dreams, but in many places that are growing and thriving. Some cities already glow with white, organic curves, lush, vertical gardens. Rivers that once ran dark now run clear between their banks. Walk there and you feel the difference immediately. The air does not smell of exhaust. It smells of damp earth, baking bread, and blossoming flowers. The background noise is not the drone of traffic, but the murmur of conversation and the laughter of children. There is a palpable sense of ease and belonging. You feel welcome. It begins with one small, conscious choice. Plant one seed. Share one meal. Take the time to fix one thing that is broken. Start one conversation about the kind of neighborhood you want to live in. If we continue to choose care over convenience and community over consumption, the second sunrise is not an endpoint. It is an invitation, a gentle, persistent call to all of us to keep going.